There were sweet cakes, 8 refrigerators in the house. It was chaos.
Bakery, coffee shop, catering. Pederzani is synonymous with these three things in Asuncion.
There's a lot of tradition at the shop.
Of a very high standard.
But how did this family of Italian immigrants manage to build an empire with more than 100 full-time employees? And what does it feel like to be born in Paraguay to European parents?
The first one, right?
There are a lot of foreigners in Paraguay.
I had the honor of interviewing Caterina Pederzani to ask her to tell me the incredible story of her family and the company that bears her name.
My grandparents were very Italian.
Guys, we're here with Caterina Pederzani, and today we have a super special episode of our podcast. We're going to touch on a million topics. I'm honestly super curious to ask you a million questions, but to start, welcome.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you. It's an honor to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. And, well, obviously, almost everyone who has spent any time in Asuncion knows Pederzani, which is truly an icon in the history of Asuncion, really, just recently. Did the location at Paseo La Galeria also open? I think the original one was always the one in front of El Sol, basically.
No, we started the location on Sula on Avenida España. That was actually the first location we opened to the public. Originally, we worked from our home. My dad is the one who started the business. All his life, he dreamed. My dad is an engineer. Well, he was an engineer because he has passed away. But all his life, he dreamed of having a food business.
Wow.
That's right. Like in 1995, he had this big project to open a pasta factory, a pizzeria. It was something really big. But in Paraguay, there was a major crisis in 95. So he decided to continue with the business, but much smaller. Some of the machines were already present here in Paraguay, fully prepared and ready to operate. So he decided to begin the business from home, a small pasta factory. To this day, we still have the machines, I promise you, Italian machines. We still have them even now. And that's how we started. We're a big family. There are 9 of us siblings.
What position are you among the 7?
I'm number 8.
Ah, okay.
I am number 8. We're 2 boys and 7 girls. Wow.
Okay.
I'm already the 8th. And well, from home, my dad started the factory. He would do events. So it was also a challenge for him to introduce and popularize the pasta buffet at social events like weddings or other important gatherings. And that's how he got started. My mom was also a very good cook. She never did it professionally, but she knows how to cook very well. And one of my sisters learned to make my mom's cakes. So what my dad would do is he would welcome clients into our home. And after he finished selling them the pasta service, he would say, "And here is my daughter who will make your cake." Yeah. And then Giovanna, one of my sisters, would start making cakes. So we were already offering that service too. And well, as the years went by, since there are a lot of us, as I told you, more of us started joining the business. Chiara, she's another one of my sisters. She went to Brazil. He also studied what it means to be a chocolate maker. He specialized in a product that was very fashionable at the time called Bien Casados, which is a product that sells a lot at weddings. And she also started making chocolates, sweets, and small things in parallel. Then I joined in. I got more involved with the setup part, assisting at the event, presenting. And that's how we started coming together, all of us. And Giovanna has a twin named Fiorella, also my sister, right? Giovanna's twin. And Fiorella started helping Giovanna with the management of her business because Giovanna is good at cooking.
But she's not a businesswoman.
But no. When it comes to managing, so Fiorella started helping her, and that's how, over the years, I'm summarizing for you because it's years of history. Well, just imagine, it was a house. Yes, my parents' house is a big house, but my dad cooked in the barbecue area, which he had closed off the barbecue area of the house to make the pasta factory. Giovanna cooked in the actual kitchen of the house, and then Chiara started too.
There wasn't enough space. And
of course, because, all of us had to live there too, right? So there came a day when we told our sisters, you know what? Get out of here. This isn't fun anymore. The whole house, there were cakes, sweets, 8 refrigerators in the house. It was chaos. Giovanna moved out. And after a while, Chiara moved out too. I mean, the business did. And over the years, we decided to join forces. We joined together. And today we are a formal company. There are 4 partners, meaning the 4 siblings are partners in this business. And now it's a company that offers a comprehensive service. We still have what started with the pastas from my dad.
really?
Of course, we kept going. To this day, we still have his recipes, his machines. Until just recently, we still had employees from my dad's time. And the client base has also grown, right? Now we have a more international kitchen. Chiara is a chef. Chiara later studied. She's a
Wow.
chef. Giovanna, even though she's not a chef, she's a great cook. She really has a lot of talent. And so we built a very broad portfolio. We have everything related to chocolates and confectionery. And we also do a lot of keto cuisine.
It started as a catering business.
It started as a catering business
The first store that opened to the public was on Avenida España.
on Avenida España.
After that, it became a laboratory.
Everything was reproduced
And the one that's open around here.
near the Shopping del Sol
Okay, what year was that more or less?
2 years before the pandemic, I think it was.
So that one is pretty recent then.
Right, the location at Shopping del Sol, yes. Well, but how long has it been since the pandemic?
Well, 5 years.
So let's say the store is about 7 years old.
You know, in Italy, pastry shops have like, you go to a pastry shop and it says something like since 1846. Well,
But that's exactly why I say, if you ask me, this particular location is definitely newer, but we've actually been around for a much longer time than that. In fact, my grandparents, who were hardworking people, owned a bar.
I thought this place had always been here and that it was the first one.
My grandparents had a bar on Estrella Street in downtown Asuncion, because that's how my grandparents' story goes. First, my grandfather came alone. My grandfather, Novello, he came to Paraguay by himself to see what he could do, to look for opportunities. And only after some time was he able to bring over his wife, my grandmother Bruna, my dad Paolo, and his son Lino. There were 2 children, but they were only able to come after a while. My grandfather asked his boss for a loan. My grandfather was a machinist,
I read it on the menu.
and he got a job as an elevator technician.
The first one, right?
Of course, because it was the only elevator in Paraguay and there was no technician. And every time the elevator broke down or had a problem or needed maintenance, they had to bring in a professional from Buenos Aires. My grandfather says, I mean, in the story, that's how they tell it to us, that, well, he looks at the machine and says, I can handle this. And he becomes the elevator technician. This man gives them a place to live. My grandfather lived in the building. And so did my dad, his brother, and his wife.
That was, I imagine, sometime after the war, something like that.
Of course, it must have been. My dad came to Paraguay when he was 12 years old.
And your grandfather had already been here for a while?
And I think my grandfather had arrived almost 2 years earlier. I think that's how long it took him to be able to bring his children over. And then my grandfather they had another daughter here in Paraguay, who is my Aunt Maria, who is already Paraguayan, let's say, born.
Is your mom Paraguayan?
My mom is Paraguayan.
What's it like to be the daughter of immigrants? Well, on one side of the family, it's something that obviously makes me very curious because not only for those who listen to the podcast, but for myself as well. We always ask ourselves, like, will our children speak our language? Will they get to know the family? Will they even care at all about that more or less?
You know what? It was always, my grandparents were very Italian. My grandparents, I hear you speak, and my grandparents spoke with a much stronger accent than you do, a lot stronger. My dad he managed to speak Spanish almost perfectly. He had very little accent. He did have certain words. Well, anyway, so for us, we do say it's a shame that we don't speak Italian. I can get by, but that's because I went to Italy
To
live for a while. I went with a program, which is really great. Honestly, it's called El Cides, and it's a program that specifically looks for Italians who are living abroad, right?
Wow.
And they invite you, they give you a job, they give you an apartment, a place to live, and some meal vouchers, right? So you pretty much have everything paid for. Yeah, you pay for part of your ticket. I think it's something like that. I don't really remember how that part worked. And you go there to work. I went to work in Italy. I went to Modena.
Was it in your field?
Yes, because, well, I'm a graphic designer.
Okay.
And I went to a furniture design factory. It was called La Sorin. I remember it well. They made industrial furniture. The furniture was really industrial design. But I went there. My job was to digitize a manual of the company. So I was doing graphic design, which is what I went there to do.
And how long did you stay there?
6 months.
6 months? Well, just enough to learn a little.
In that sense, I can get by, but we didn't really learn.
Was it never spoken at home?
No, my dad didn't speak to us in Italian. Interestingly, my mom did learn to speak it better, I think because she needed to communicate with my grandparents. Like I said, they did speak it. They spoke Spanish quite poorly. But no, we really didn't learn the language. But yes, in our house, it's something we feel very strongly about. To the point that nowadays my son, he says he's Italian. He says he's half Italian, you know?
But all the sisters have Italian names. Caterina, that's a clue.
Most of them. We are, Paolo, Patricio, the oldest ones. Then Giovanna, Fiorella, Anna Maria, Alexia. Alexia, I think, isn't Italian. Chiara, Caterina, and Andrea.
Ah, right. So that's perfect. Basically, it stays that way. Because at the shop, there's a lot of tradition. And something that also surprises me is the panettone they make, the sweet bread.
Honestly, it's a recipe that made us work a lot. It's a recipe I told you about that, Chiara. Well, Kiara, my sister, went to study in Brazil. And after a few years, when she got married, she went to live in Brazil because her husband worked there. They lived in Sao Paulo for a few years. And there, well, Sao Paulo is a city.
Super international.
Right, isn't it? And Kiara really made the most of her time there, truly dedicating herself and studying, honestly, with people of very high level, right? Which is what also allowed us to have that door to the world, which is so important, Ale. It's so important to look at what is being done elsewhere, to learn. That's just how we are, in love with researching, seeing what others are doing, how things are done. I mean, Giovanna too nowadays, well, with technology and this access, it's much easier, right? But she's already teaching some courses. Jovena, I think, is about to finish. She's already teaching some courses, I think, with a pastry chef from Bogota and with the whole keto food trend as well, which is really popular, not just because of the ketogenic diet, but everything that has to do with
Diabetic.
yes, people who maybe have a special treatment, who need to stop eating flour. So it kind of puts you in contact with a lot of people.
We have a very important person in the company named Rosario, who, for example, is celiac. And for her, finding gluten-free products is very difficult here in Paraguay. It's complicated. And that's something I really think is still very lacking. Who innovates and who opens up to the world? Because there's a lot of spectacular tradition here. But sometimes things need to be internationalized, or we need to look at what is really happening in other places. And from there, this year, the second location was inaugurated on the Paseo. How about that? I mean, first of all, the Paseo is obviously an icon of Asunción. I have no idea what it's like to have a business in the Paseo de la Galeria, but once I tried to rent an office there, and they asked for about 3 months of company background checks just to be able to rent the office. And I thought, well, I guess my lease is up in a month and a half, maybe next time. And we went to the World Trade Center. How did that happen to you?
Well, a friend of mine, a good friend who's the commercial manager there, called us. They called us and said, so how would you feel about opening a store in the Paseo? And we always look at opportunities. I mean, we never close ourselves off to hearing about opportunities. A lot of people call me because, well, Asuncion is growing. There are projects all the time, offers coming in constantly. But we're also very shy, we're cautious. It's not like we're very aggressive because we're afraid. Managing these locations, especially in this sector, everything related to human resources, it's not easy. I think Paraguay is going through a time when it's honestly hard to find good middle management. I mean, sometimes you find people who are extremely, even super qualified. And when you're just about to give them the job, you start to wonder, will they actually like it? Will they stay? Because the idea is for the staff to stay with you. We really value the long-term commitment of our staff. We have staff members with many years of experience, and we love seeing those people grow with us, develop, and become part of the company. And that's a difficult point, at least for us, right? It's very difficult. So every time we're about to open a new location, we have a lot of things to consider, right? Like, how are we going to supply it? Will we have the capacity? How are we going to organize ourselves? And when this opportunity at the gallery came up, we visited the location, and honestly, the size of the place, it's a space that allowed us to set up a good kitchen because the kitchen takes up a lot of room. I mean, everything happens there, right? It depends a lot on the operations, the functionality of the kitchen. So we went for it and we're doing well, right? It's very different. That's for sure. It's something new for me because when you do your analysis or whatever, you compare it to what you already have. With the one on Nuestra Señora del Carmen, we said, well, this is going to work like this. And honestly, nowadays, we find ourselves with a place that's a completely different business. In other words, it works differently. The clientele is different. And being in an environment where you have so many options.
I imagine also that, for example, you have to be open at certain hours or for certain holidays or things like that. So you can't do 100% what you want?
No, of course not. But honestly, in that sense, we were already used to it. The location at Nuestra Señora del Carmen is open from Monday to Monday from 8 in the morning until midnight. In that sense, it's basically the same or even more so. The gallery opens a little later. Sometimes at 8 in the morning, you go. Just now, I was working at Nuestra Señora del Carmen and there were already 6 or 7 tables at 8:30 in the morning. It's different, but we're happy.
And is there an expansion?
And we have a place that we like. We were already there, amazed by a new place that we're really liking because of its location, because of what that development will mean for Asuncion. But as I mentioned, we're still gradually settling into the gallery because it's not just the location. It's really like the entire headquarters, the whole production center is adapting to this new demand, which is quite different. I mean, the demand projection we had for how things would behave is turning out differently. So the places that we reinforce, thinking that's where the demand would be, the demand isn't there, so we have to make some changes. And well,
yes,
that's
a company
what we're
is a
working on,
living
right?
organism, isn't it? Every day you have to adapt, you have to evolve, you have,
To change.
but it's interesting. Let's say, well, there's a place you like, and one of our clients comes and says, you know what, I want to finance that place for you. I'll become a capital partner and all that. How much does it cost more or less to set it from scratch?
A total of $350,000 specifically for the purchase of the location is being discussed here.
And your plan to recover those $350,000?
We estimate 2 years. Stable means to recover. The thing is, when I say 350, that's where everything gets a bit mixed up because that's the location. But then you have a series of investments, expenses, and adjustments you have to make from headquarters.
Right.
That's why I was telling you that where we thought the demand would be, it isn't. So we have to readjust. So maybe that initial plan I told you about, like, okay, in 2 years we'd pay off the loan and be fine. Maybe that gets pushed out a bit. But just to not be overly optimistic, it could be 3 years.
But even so, that's really good. I mean, I think it also reflects the growth Asuncion is experiencing. And in that sense, I also think that obviously now Del Sol was built right in front of our Nuestra Señora location. At the mall, every time I go, there's less and less Spanish being spoken. So do you think you've noticed any difference? Do you notice the foreigners who are coming to Paraguay in your stores? How's it going with the foreigners?
I mean, you can really notice it in the stores, Ale, and you can see it in the schools too. I mean, since I have a child of school age, right? You can tell, you can really see it in the schools. You notice it in businesses that are opening, in people where you wonder who's doing this. And this one is Colombian, this one is Brazilian. For example, I have a Brazilian friend whom I met through business, I'll tell you, because of the chocolates she makes. She's living in Paraguay, she makes chocolates, and they're absolutely delicious, just amazing.
There's a Brazilian company that makes those chocolate-covered strawberries, which are super Brazilian. I think they're almost in Santa Teresa.
Could be, like I said, there's a lot. I mean, honestly, I think that Paraguay is currently receiving quite a lot of foreigners, and I believe there's still a lot to be done in this area. Also, I feel that Paraguayans in general are genuinely warm and welcoming in their approach to newcomers. I mean, I don't feel like we see ourselves as threatened or invaded.
I also think there are quite a few foreign customers.
No, customers come in every day. I mean, you just sit down. You sit there to chat, and then Russian clients, you look around. Sometimes you wonder, what language are you speaking? I say, I want to understand the conversation, and there are so many foreigners in Paraguay. And what stands out to me is that you can tell who's on vacation. It's obvious. You can see it, right? With their boots and everything, you can really tell who's here to vacation, to have fun. And then you can also spot the foreigner who's already settled, who's already living here. You can tell, you can see it, and it's impressive.
Yeah.
I also usually do job interviews. I usually listen in. I mean, you know how I sit down to work at the cafe, right? I often sit there just watching what's going on, the girls, how the waiters do their jobs. I do that a lot, just sitting there like any other customer. And I often overhear job interviews with foreigners at the place.
That's wild, isn't it? Yeah. Does that happen to you more now, or did it used to happen more before? I mean, was it while there was an increase in foreigners?
I see it now. I don't know if it's also because, well, I'm in the gallery, which is a place that attracts a lot of foreigners, right? I see a lot more now than I ever did before. And I also see a lot, not just from Asunción, the capital city, but from many other places as well. That's something I truly love and appreciate, because for a long time it really seemed like Paraguay ended at the last street of Asunción, as if there was nothing beyond that point. But of course it doesn't. I have many clients who come from the countryside, from rural areas, and in the countryside you really see this genuine expression of gracias. People there show their gratitude in such a heartfelt way, and it makes a big difference. From the Germans, from the area of, for example, I recently went to Philadelphia and I loved it. You have no idea what that's like, but I never expected to find. It's an amazing city, the whole area, that whole Chaco region. I loved it, but it surprised me. I even felt ignorant. I thought, how am I Paraguayan? I don't know this. I didn't know it existed, but I'm telling you, it's impressive. A gorgeous hotel, beautiful streets. They have a museum. It's a city, a real city, but clean, spotless. The people, nightlife, paddle. No, really, I'm telling you, it's a show. I didn't expect it. I mean, yeah, this is amazing. I said to myself, how spectacular, how great. I loved it. I mean, I really loved it.
As a woman entrepreneur, do you notice any challenges, or is there anything how do you find the business culture in Paraguay for women?
It's honestly quite hard to answer this question, mainly because as a woman myself, to be completely honest, in my family, there are actually 7 women and only 2 men. Yes, that's right, 7 women. So I didn't really feel much of this issue of there being a difference between men and women. Yes, of course, as the years go by, since I already have children, It becomes difficult in the sense of having to adjust your life, your daily routines, and your responsibilities. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and it can be challenging to balance everything. Of course, because it's like, yes, I understand the whole equality thing and all that, but as a mom, you have to, I mean, yes, and it's like, I don't know, your child demands more from you. I don't really know exactly how it works, and honestly, I don't know if it's something that's cultural, something that comes from society, or if it's something that's more natural, something that is just part of who we are. I really don't know, but what I do know is that it's like you have to always constantly be attentive, always paying attention. So when you're leading an organization, when you are in a position where many important decisions depend on you, it's like, wait, I have to be on my phone all day, constantly checking with your phone, and then you hear mom. So I think that's honestly the most complicated and challenging part for women, more than that difference, let's say, or that.
The treatment you received in business was always.
For me, the treatment was always good. I never felt that a door was closed to me because I was a woman. On the contrary, I think that maybe when a woman arrives at a table, there's automatically a more relaxed attitude, almost as if people take you less seriously, right? It's like the atmosphere becomes more relaxed, calmer, more peaceful. That happens to me a lot in meetings, you know. I immediately notice that, well, that the atmosphere is tense, and then a woman arrives. Hi, how are you? You kind of cool things down a bit. That's how it seems. And honestly, the opposite has never happened to me.
Well, look, you told me that the challenge you're facing is finding people for middle management positions. What are the main challenges for you when it comes to doing business in Paraguay? Things that can be improved.
And that is, for me, one of the, let's say, the biggest challenges that you'll encounter. Any kind of entrepreneur who comes to do business here in Paraguay should understand that Paraguay truly needs to begin investing more heavily and significantly in the important areas of training and education of the people, right? A mediocre school simply isn't enough. If they teach you very little, honestly, that's our main challenge, in my opinion.
And do you find this more on the practical side, like people working in the kitchen, or on the administrative or managerial side?
And like I said, it's in everything that's average, you know. If I want to have a manager of, if I want to, you're going to find people, you're going to find a lot of willing people. You'll find a lot of people who will do exactly what you ask, the way you ask, and who learn quickly. But it's going to be hard to find someone with the profile where you can say, I can give this person a manual, I can give them instructions. This is your team. Go ahead, do it. You know what I mean? Because people aren't trained, right? There really aren't those, I don't know, there are like, well, practical courses, but only for things that are already very hands-on, of course. But there's not even a little bit of like calculating costs, understanding grams, waste. That's where, for me, the big challenge lies.
So for now, how do you handle that? Is it something you do directly within the company? Can you take someone who stood out within their team and you yourself nurture them so that...
That's what we do. But those processes are long, Ale. That's the problem. I mean, of course, within the company, most of our staff have grown with us.
About how many people are there in the company today?
I think 115.
It's a lot of people, right?
Yes, a lot of people. Service requires a lot of people. The service in the stores has a lot of turnover, a lot of people that maybe you don't see, but the shifts change, the store is big, the shifts are long.
Did you ever hold a managerial position outside your company? Or did you really learn to be a manager within your own company?
Within my company, honestly, I learned to be a manager inside the company. I did work elsewhere. Like I mentioned before, I worked with Bruno Massi in production when I was very young. And then I also worked at a gastronomy company where I was, let's say, the manager of a location, but it was small. Of course, it was something that the cashier, just to give you an idea, I was like the cashier of the place. And then, well, at Pederzani, I've been working there since I was 23 years old. So from then on...
That's quite a journey.
Yeah, definitely.
How many people were there when you started, more or less?
Not even 10, I don't know. There were just a few of us, really, really few. What happens is, well, this is where the topic comes in. Do you remember I told you we have a lot of siblings? Yes. And that each one of us had her own area, and each of us had our own company. So when I joined up with my sisters, I had my own small business. It was just me and 2 other people. Chiara probably had 4 people. Giovanna probably had a bit more, maybe 10. Let's say when we joined forces, there were about 20 of us in total. We were just this small group.
Like that. And it multiplied by 5. What a story, right?
Yes, it's significant growth. Sometimes when things aren't going well and there are problems, we sit down and I say, but wait a minute, Leon, think back to 3 years ago. We're doing well. We're doing well. Think back 3 years ago.
We do that a lot too.
When it seems like there's no direction, like everything's going wrong.
Yes, you have to regain perspective on where you came from, and then you really find where to go. Look, so I don't take up more of your time. Before we finish, I just wanted you to look at your camera and say something to someone who might be abroad, right? This Canada or wherever they are, and they're thinking about coming to Paraguay to start something. What would you say to someone who has doubts? Should I do it? Should I not do it? Is it a good place? Is it not a good place? What would you say to them?
Well, to anyone who wants to come to Paraguay, any foreigner who's thinking about coming to stay in Paraguay, I always say the same thing my father said his whole life. He's Italian, and that his heart is Paraguayan. Paraguay won him over. He already felt, he always kept his ties to Italy. My dad watched RI. He watched RI a lot. But he would say that Paraguay had adopted him, that it gave him everything he couldn't have at that time in his own country. He was extremely grateful because he was able to continue his university studies here, which wouldn't have been possible there due to the circumstances. So to anyone who wants to come, I say, go for it, come. This is a country that will welcome you warmly, where opportunities are waiting for you around every corner all day long.
That's great. Thank you so much, Caterina. You're
Welcome, really.
really great. With you all, see you in Paraguay.